Hello, I'm filling in for our President Dick McLean for this month's video for the Mission Society. I'm Jim Ramsay and I have the honor of serving as the Vice President for Mission Ministries. A few years ago, my colleague Lauren Helveston gathered several of our missionary kids together and asked them the question, what can we as an organization do to bless you as missionary kids? Their immediate response was, find ways to get us together. Well, it turns out this is not just a way to bless missionary kids, but actually a way to bless missionaries is by simply getting them together, getting them with one another. For the past several years, we have done just that. We've had the practice of gathering our missionaries together into biannual conferences. One conference for Asia, Europe, and Africa, and another conference for the Americas. But this year, for the first time in our 30-year history as an agency, last month we gathered all of our missionaries from all around the world. We had about 150 missionaries, plus 40 missionary kids, and several guests, and we gathered at the Life Enrichment Center near Leesburg, Florida. For 5 days we were together for a mixture of teaching, of prayer and ministry, working groups, activities, and workshops. Our theme was from Colossians 1:10, bearing fruit and growing in the knowledge of God. As a community of missionaries, we want to do all we can to help care for one another and to help one another serve the Lord, not just with passion, but also with excellence and with fruitfulness. We are very blessed at this event to have volunteers from Grace United Methodist Church of Gainesville, Florida, come to provide excellent care and programming for our MKs of all ages. The church also sent a praise band to lead us in worship. As I told the volunteers, missionaries don't often have a chance to worship in their own language of English or to be led by others in worship. So it was an enormous blessing to have a group come from a church and lead them in worship. And to have people help with the children was important too, because to have excellent missionary kid care for our children and youth helps them in their own walks. It also enables the adults to focus in on the experience itself and not be worrying about what's happening to their kids. We're so grateful to Grace Church for providing this ministry to us. What a great way for a church to be engaged in God's mission. Well, I can't overstate the energy level of the event. I often joke that even if we totally flopped in our planning for such an event, just when you get this many missionaries together in one place, good things are bound to happen. They understand each other. There's no need for pretense, and there's permission to share with one another at a very deep level. So much ministry occurred as people shared together, played together, cried together, laughed together, and prayed together. One young woman told me how just laughing among friends and laughing easily and understanding the humor was therapeutic for her. And I had several people come to me in the course of those 5 days and say how they had been struggling with discouragement and even burnout. And yet this event had given them new life, new energy, and new vision. And they were ready now to return to the place God had called them to continue in ministry. One of the highlights of our gathering came when Steve Saint paid us a surprise visit. Steve is the son of Nate Saint, one of the 5 missionaries who was killed in 1956. And you may be familiar with his book, The End of the Spear, which was also made into a motion picture. Steve shared very personally from his own life about that experience, as well as his more recent recovery from an accident that left him partially paralyzed. At the end of his sharing with us, we invited all the missionary kids to come forward so Steve could pray with them. So this missionary kid, now in his 60s, shared very personally and gave encouragement to these missionary kids and blessed them. It was one of those moments I know that they will treasure for the rest of their lives, as will all of us who witnessed the event. And I think it was just a wonderful example of how God blesses when the people who serve God come together to minister to one another. He will bless them greatly, as we experience at our global gathering.